Hello, welcome to this session on Design of Machine Elements 2, the subject code 18ME62 of VTU. So in this module number 2, that is Design of Spur and Helical Gears. In today's session, I will be discussing about the introduction to helical gears. Helical gears. So helical gears are similar to the spur gears. That is, they are also used to connect the parallel shafts like spur gears. But the difference is that in case of helical gears, uh, the teeth are cut at an angle to the axis of the shaft. That is, the teeth are in the form of helix on their pitch cylinders, and helical gears may be used to connect either parallel shafts, or they are also used to connect the non-parallel or crossed shafts. So the thing is, in the helical gears, one of the gear should be having the right hand helix, and the other gear should be having the left hand helix for them to mesh with one another. So in case of spur gears, when the teeth come into engagement with one another, the contact is sudden and it is a line contact which extends all the way across the face of the tooth. Whereas if we consider the helical gears, when the teeth come into engagement, the initial contact will be a point contact, and then it changes into a line contact gradually as the teeth come into more engagement. So there is a gradual pickup of the load by the tooth in case of the helical gears, so which results in the smooth engagement and quiet operation even at a high speeds. So this gives the helical gears the ability to transmit heavy loads at the high speeds. So the helical gears uh, may be single helical type, or it may be double helical type. So in case of single helical gears, there is some axial thrust on the shaft or the bearings, which is a disadvantage of the helical gears. So in order to eliminate this type of axial thrust on the bearings or shafts, so we use herringbone gears. So as shown in the figure, it's equivalent to two single helical gears in which equal and opposite thrusts are provided on each gear, and the resulting axial thrust will be 0. So that is the advantage of the herringbone gears. But uh, the cost of this gear will be high. So this type of, in general, helical gears are used in automobiles, turbines, and other high-speed applications. So the conventional representation of a pair of helical gears is shown in the figure. It is necessary to show the type of helix or the hand of helix, whether it is left-handed or right-handed, or the direction of the teeth in drawing. So therefore, the hand of the helix is actually indicated by drawing three thin continuous lines. So the lines, if they are sloping downward to the right side, then it is a right-handed helical teeth, as we can see here. And whereas if the lines are sloping upward to the right side, so then they are called as the left-handed helical teeth. let us see the terminology or the terms used in the helical gears. So as we can see from the figure, the forces that are acting on the helical gears are shown in the figure. So in helical gears, the helix angle is indicated by beta, as we can see here. So this is beta, the helix angle between the teeth and the axis. So therefore here the tangential load is denoted by Ft, which is this load. The load which is normal acting on another tooth is indicated by Fn. So as well as the axial load or axial thrust, so that is acting on the shaft, is denoted by Fa. So we have two terms, that is, one is the axial pitch and the other one is the transverse pitch, which we will see in the next slide. So first one is the helix angle, as we have seen in the figure, that is indicated by beta. It is nothing but the constant angle made by the helices or helix with the axis of rotation. Then we have the axial pitch, or it's also called as transverse circular pitch, denoted by small p. So it is nothing but the distance between the corresponding points on the adjacent teeth as measured in a plane perpendicular to the axis of rotation. Next is the normal pitch or normal circular pitch indicated by p suffix n. So it is nothing but the distance between the corresponding points on adjacent teeth as measured in a plane which is normal or perpendicular to the helix. So in this particular case, we measure the distance between the points perpendicular to the helix in that particular plane. So that is called as normal pitch. Whereas if we see the previous case, that is the axial or transverse pitch, we measure the distance between the points perpendicular to the axis of rotation. So if we see the figure, if we take cos beta, it will be can be written as Pn over P. So that is normal pitch to the axial pitch. Now, so therefore Pn can be written as P into cos beta. So P is nothing but the pitch, that is pi d by z into cos beta. So this equation is available in the design data handbook, that is equation number 12.19a. That is the design data handbook by authors Mahadevan and Balveer Reddy. That is the 4th edition book. Coming to the, so here we can write this as pi into m cos beta. So from here, let's take this as pi into mn, where mn refers to the normal module in for the case of helical gears, which is given by the m into cos beta. So here again, if we take mn, it is nothing but m cos beta, or we can write it as d by z cos beta. So therefore, the number of teeth in case of helical gears can be represented by an equation, that is d cos beta over mn. So this equation is available in the equation number 12.19d. Virtual number of teeth or formative number of teeth in helical gears. So virtual number of teeth in a helical gear is defined as the number of teeth that could be generated on the surface of a cylinder having a pitch radius which is equal to the radius of curvature at a point at the tip of the minor axis of an ellipse, obtained by taking a section through the helical gear in a plane which is normal to the tooth at the point or in a normal plane. So this is actually given by the expression z suffix e, that is the virtual number of teeth, that is given by z divided by cos cube beta. So where z refers to the actual number of teeth and beta is the helix angle. So this equation is available in the equation that is 12.22a from the design data handbook. So as we can see from the figure, the pitch cylinder of the helical gear is shown, so which is cut by a plane or a section BB, which is normal to the tooth or the helix. So when a cylinder is cut by a plane which is inclined to its base, the cut section will be a ellipse. So therefore the intersection of the plane BB and the pitch cylinder of this gear produces an ellipse. So the semi-major and semi-minor axes of these ellipse are given by the expression uh, d by 2 cos beta and d by 2 respectively. So this represents the semi-major axis and d by 2 represents the semi-minor axis. So it can be proved from analytical geometry that the radius of curvature of this particular ellipse, that is denoted by RC, that is given by the expression a square divided by b. So if we consider the radius of curvature of this ellipse RC, that is given by a square by b. So if I substitute the expressions for the semi-major and semi-minor axis, that is d by 2 cos beta whole square divided by d by 2. So this becomes RC is equal to d by 2 cos square beta. So in the design of the helical gears, we consider an imaginary spur gear in the normal plane, normal to the helix, or in the plane BB with the center at O dash somewhere over here, and having the pitch circle radius of RC, and whose module is denoted by Mn, that is the normal module in this particular plane. So this particular gear, which is imaginary, that is called as a formative or virtual spur gear, and the number of teeth in this particular gear are called as virtual number of teeth. So the number of teeth on the imaginary spur gear that we consider in the normal plane, that is called as virtual number of teeth, which can be given by which is indicated by z suffix e. So that is equal to we can find out by using this equation 2 pi RC, where RC is the radius of curvature of that ellipse, divided by the pitch, the normal pitch, that is Pn. So if we substitute for this 2 pi into RC expression, what we have got is d divided by 2 cos square beta. So normal pitch can be given by pi into the normal module. So Pn is given by pi into Mn. So if we simplify this, we will get Ze is equal to d divided by Mn into cos square beta. Also, since we have seen the expression for the number of teeth given by Z is equal to d cos beta over Mn, so we can also see the expression for the pitch circle diameter from the design data handbook, that is equation number 12.19e, that is d is equal to Z into Mn over cos beta. So where Mn is the normal module and beta is the helix angle. So therefore if you substitute this in this particular expression for Ze, what we get is Ze is equal to d, that is Z into Mn over cos beta, into this particular expression 1 by Mn into cos square beta. So this here we can see Mn and Mn gets cancels, and we get the expression Ze is equal to Z over cos cube beta. So this is the expression for the virtual number of teeth in case of the helical gears. So where Z refers to the actual number of teeth. Force analysis of helical gears. So the resultant force Fn, which is acting on the tooth of a helical gear, it is resolved into three components. So here we can see from the figure, this is the resultant force Fn, which is resolved into three components. One is the Ft, which is the tangential force, Fr is the radial force, and Fa is the axial thrust or axial force. So we have the beta, which is nothing but the helix angle. So we can see from here, this is the normal plane. So therefore the pressure angle in this normal plane, it is denoted by alpha suffix n, that is the normal pressure angle, and this particular inclination is beta. So let us consider this figure. So from this particular triangle HEB, this is nothing but the normal plane. Here we have the normal pressure angle alpha n. So if we take sine of alpha n, it will be HE divided by BH. HE is equivalent to FR, so BH is nothing but the normal force Fn, so it will be FR by Fn. So let's take it as equation number 1. So therefore Fr can be written as Fn into sine of alpha n. And if you take cos of this angle alpha n, it will be BE divided by Fn. So therefore we can write BE as Fn into cos alpha n. Let us take it as equation number 2. So now from the triangle EAB, this triangle if we consider, so cos beta can be written as Ft divided by BE. So where B we have already found out, it is Fn cos alpha n. So substituting here in the denominator, and sin beta if we take, it will be EA divided by BE, but EA is equivalent to FB, that is nothing but FA, that is axial force. So we can write sin beta as FA divided by BE is Fn cos alpha n. So therefore Ft can be written as Fn cos alpha n into cos beta from the last equation. Let's take it as equation number 3, and Fa can be written as Fn cos alpha n into sin beta. Let's take it as equation number 4. So now equation 4 divided by equation 3 gives Fa divided by Ft, that's equal to Fn cos alpha n into sin beta divided by Fn cos alpha n into cos beta. So here Fn cos alpha n and this Fn cos alpha n will cancel. What we get is sin beta by cos beta, that's nothing but tan beta. And therefore we can write the axial force Fa as Ft into tan beta. So this is available in equation 12.21 from the design data handbook. So now equation 1 divided by equation 3 gives Fr divided by Ft as Fn into sin alpha n divided by Fn cos alpha n into cos beta. So here Fn cancels, and what will remain is sin alpha n by cos alpha n, this is nothing but tan alpha n divided by cos beta. So therefore we can write the radial force Fr as Ft into tan alpha n divided by cos beta. So now the relation between the pressure angle which is measured in the transverse and normal planes will be given as tan alpha n is equal to tan alpha into cos beta. This is available in equation number 12.22b from the design data handbook. That is, alpha n is the normal pressure angle and alpha is the pressure angle in the transverse plane. So these are related with the help of this equation. So if we substitute in place of tan alpha n, what we get is Fr is equal to Ft into tan alpha cos beta. So cos beta cancels. So we get Fr as Ft into tan alpha. Strength of a helical gear. So the Lewis equation, which is developed for the spur gears, can also be used in the design of helical gears by considering the helical gear as an equivalent spur gear in the normal plane, that is normal to the helix of the teeth. So the Lewis equation for spur gear is given by Ft is equal to sigma d into Cv into B into pi y into M. Let's take it as equation number 1. So for a helical gear, this equation can be written as F suffix n. That is, we have to consider this particular plane, that is the plane which is normal to this teeth. So this force is Fn. So that is equal to sigma d into Cv into, so the face width in the normal plane, that is denoted by B suffix n, into pi into y into Mn, where Mn refers to the normal module. So that is the module in the normal plane. So let us take it as equation number 2. So now from the figure we can write cos beta as Ft divided by Fn. So therefore Fn can be written as Ft divided by cos beta. Let's take it as equation number 3. So now we can also see from the figure the face width B can be written as Bn into cos beta, or cos beta is nothing but the ratio B to the Bn. So now equating equations 2 and 3, we get Ft by cos beta is equal to sigma d into Cv into Bn into pi y Mn. So here Fn is replaced by Ft by cos beta. Similarly, Bn is now replaced by B by cos beta. So face width in the normal plane is replaced by B divided by cos beta. So here cos beta and cos beta cancels. So what we get is Ft is equal to sigma d into Cv into B into pi y into Mn. Let's take it as equation number 4. Now since the helical gears operate at high speeds, so considering the lubrication aspects, so we have to consider a factor called as wear and lubrication factor. It is indicated by C suffix W, whose value ranges from 1.15 to 1.35. So considering this, so we can write this equation as Ft is equal to sigma d into Cv into B pi y Mn divided by Cw. So this particular equation is available in the data handbook. It is equation number 12.24a, where Cw refers to the wear and lubrication factor for the helical gears, which is to be considered in the Lewis equation. So now the tangential force is denoted by 2mt by d, and here replacing d by m into z. So again we can write m as mn divided by cos beta, because we know that the normal module mn is nothing but m cos beta. So therefore, simplifying this, we get the expression for Ft as 2mt into cos beta divided by z into mn. So let us take it as equation number 5. So in helical gears, we have the ratio of the face width to the normal module Mn, which is denoted by K. So let us substitute in this particular equation for Ft what we had. In place of B, if we substitute this by K into Mn, so let's take it as this equation as equation number 6. So from here we can see Mn, we can write it as Mn square is equal to Ft into Cw divided by sigma d Cv into K into pi y. So this can also be written in this particular way. So now equating the equations 5 and 6, what we get is 2 mt cos beta over z mn, that will be equal to sigma d Cv into K into mn into pi y mn divided by Cw. So this is nothing but 2 mt cos beta into Cw, that will be equal to sigma d Cv into K into pi y mn square, and again here one mn is there, so it will become mn cube into z. So therefore this can be written as mn cube is equal to 2 mt cos beta into Cw divided by sigma d Cv K into pi y z. So this can also be written in this particular form. So this is the equation for normal module. It's available in the equation number 12.24b from the design data handbook.